Good afternoon, everyone. The village special board meeting is called to order Tuesday, March 12th at 6:30 p.m. It's called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Wilson.
Excuse me, coming in late.
Trustee Brooks.
Present.
Trustee McMullen.
Present.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Brown. And Mayor Cummings.
Present. General public comments is open at this time. Seeing none, we will continue. Oh, sorry, it's not. Oh, okay. We'll do it at the regular meeting. Action items is D1, motion to authorize the village manager to execute the consent of DPIF 03 University Park LLC's transfer and assignment of 425 Crossing Drive, Tier 5 redevelopment site number 3A to Coughlin to 2019-2H Industrial Owner LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Brooks, second by trustee McMullen. Questions, concern, comments? Could you elaborate a little bit, just for the audience that's not here, but still?
This is just a document transferring ownership and rights from Dermody Properties to DPIF IL3 University Park LLC. It's required anytime there's a redevelopment agreement. Anytime there's a change of ownership, it has to be documented in the village so we know who owns what. When we're making tip payments.
Thank you. Any others? Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Both sides. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
Both sides.
Motion passes.
D2, motion to accept the 2017-18 Treasurer's Report. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee McMullen, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Brooks. Questions, concerns, comments?
Once we get this in, I got a certified letter. Once this is in, okay, thank you.
And it will be published.
Took it away, please, trustee clerk.
And I will be sending it to the newspaper for it to be published, and it will be published on our website.
Okay.
Thank you. Question for me, did our treasurer sign this?
No, as a matter of fact, he sent me an email and said that because we were not up to date with all of our audits and the general ledger could not match the report, he would not sign it.
Well, general ledger can't be matched for the simple reason it cannot, because we are still entering things in the general ledger. Just like if the people that are running for office, you're still getting money coming in, so naturally it won't show.
Right.
So that's why they don't understand it. You cannot show it, it will not match.
Right.
So,
But he did
Yes,
refuse
okay.
to sign.
and he does know that the audits are being currently done and
Yes.
executed.
Yes.
Okay, and he does, okay, but he does not understand the general ledgers that are coming in cannot be balanced at the same time that's when they're coming in. Okay. It was explained to him?
Shouldn't he know that going in?
That's what I was saying. He's the treasurer.
Yes, I understand that. Okay. Okay, just for the record, so it will be on next door incorrectly, that he can see the general ledger, I don't know why he doesn't understand that. It has been explained to him, was it not?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. All right. Roll call. I'm sorry, Dan.
He did meet with Giselian Finance.
He did meet with them? Okay, okay,
He went over it.
okay. So they did explain it to him.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Just one question. Has he signed any,
He's always,
since we appointed him, has he signed any
I think
treasury
he
report?
signed 2 treasurer's reports during his tenure.
And I just want to note that for the record, because it always seems to be a conflict with him, including when he comes to Village Hall with Manager Pay. That we have to keep moving forward with this.
Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams. Both sides. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
And Mayor Kirk.
Votes aye.
Motion's approved. So now I can get it on.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the special meeting at this
So
time? So moved by trustee McMullen, second? Second by trustee Williams. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Votes aye.
Trustee McMullen.
Votes aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
And Mayor Kirk.
Votes aye.
Whoa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mayor.
The Tuesday regular committee of the whole is called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Wilson. Trustee Brooks.
Present.
Trustee McMullen.
Present.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Brown. And Mayor Kirk.
Present. Would you please join me with the pledge of allegiance? Pledge
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. General public
There's
statement.
no signage. There's no signage.
Somebody take it.
That's not a signage.
It was one.
Somebody
It was when we came in.
Someone up there.
I put on there
She did have, it was there when I came in.
with a blue pen that looks like this.
Who was the first one? Did anybody see it? It was there when we came in.
Yeah, put it up.
I saw them saying.
Somebody signed it. I saw them sign it.
Okay, does anyone want to speak to expedite the time so they won't have to line back up? And anyone who wants to speak, please come to the podium, please. And you have 3 minutes, and we have 30 minutes in whole. Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees and everyone else. I'm Nakia Hall. I'm here to talk to you about some efforts that we're doing to help save our young people. Me, along with some other people, we started the South Suburban Youth Coalition, and this is efforts for us to collaborate with stakeholders to help our young people make better choices and to stop the violence that we've been seeing. I want to invite you all to our next meeting. It's going to be Monday, March 25th at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be held at the Crossroads Church, which is located at 23001 Torrance Avenue in Sauk Village. And I especially want to invite Mr. Payton. We would like to get input from our local police authorities on this because we want to collaborate and we want to talk about the issues that each of our towns are seeing, and we would love your voice at the table. But I just want to welcome everybody and hope to see you there.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, can you repeat the address, please?
Yes. It is Crossroads Church, Sauk Village. The address is 23001 Torrance Avenue. Thank you. And if you want to give me a call, we can talk. I know I invited you to the first meeting, but if you have any questions, feel free to call. Thank you.
Next.
Good evening, my name is Deborah Taylor, and first I want to say it's really good to see old familiar faces back in place again. Basically, I just wanted to say there's a couple of things going on in the community that maybe you all already know about. One is the tree branches, I guess, from the windstorm that we had. They're kind of like falling all over the place. So you may already be on top of that situation. I don't know. The other situation is we have with Aqua. I don't know if anybody is going to contact them or whatever, but on Pennell Lane, and Liz already knows about it, but I want you guys to understand it's a village situation. Because I was told that yesterday's association meeting. So I don't know what the plan is for them to come over. We had a lot of potholes before, but now we have super-sized potholes and everything going on over there. So we really need somebody to deal with that. And the last thing I wanted to say quickly is that my comment here is just kind of based on the last election that we had here at University Park and some current events. The last election that we had, I think that perhaps maybe some of the candidates didn't use wisdom in selecting people that they wanted to distribute their information. And so therefore, there were quite a few incidents where residents were offended by candidates using people that were very rude and kind of ghetto, and also kind of had a gangster style of approaching our residents. So that situation has kind of reoccurred a couple of times already before we even had a selection. So I'm just putting it out there that I think that we really need to be real cautious of who we select or who candidates select to have distribute their material, because our residents don't have to be harassed. And also harassment is a law enforcement issue, and I just want to put that out there because perhaps Chief Pate can address that. Maybe they need to call someone when they're being harassed and information is just being pushed upon them, and maybe they don't want that information. Thank you.
Can you elaborate on the aqua situation?
On the aqua situation, we had a couple of main breaks and things like, we have water all over the place. In fact, sometimes we had it happen 2 times a week, and our water was constantly being shut off. We constantly were getting the notices about boil water and all that. It's just really been, yeah, it's been kind of a roller coaster situation over there. We have called Aqua, and you know, I just spoke with Melissa about it. But I just want to know with spring coming and everything, you know, if the village could call or something, so we can make sure there's a plan in place. It's like I said, our potholes now are becoming supersized. And there's probably other issues along with that too, because it's happened so many times.
That's why my mother-in-law started receiving calls from my phone last week
Yeah.
about the boiling the water.
Yeah.
That's the reason they're flushing. That's why a lot of the fire hydrants have been covered up right now because they're flushing. But
That's my
please,
cat, right?
no, that's, I'm explaining you. They're flushing a lot of fire hydrants, that's why they're covered up. Some people don't understand what's going on, but they need to call Aqua because the village does not own the water. And I have been calling them, and as far as the other part for you, the harassment, yeah, I had to call the police officer as well because there have been some altercations and people don't want it. Respect that. I'm telling everyone out there that's looking tonight, respect it. They don't want your literature. If they say, no, I'm okay, leave it. Because there was a bad altercation down by J&J. And they was pushing it, and they almost, so respect that. If you're passing it out, they don't want to keep walking, but they have no right. Yes. No, they're not having it. So, but I respect that, and I talked to the chief about that already. He's got that under control.
I wanted to say, I did talk to the president of Aqua, Craig. I talked to him, and he said that he was going to send somebody out there. It wasn't the fire hydrant, it was main breaking. And over on Pinto, it was about 3 or 4 we broke. When they came out to fix them, they broke again. They came out to fix them again, they broke again. I mean, it's terrible, just like Ms. Taylor is saying, explaining, and it was terrible. Also, it's the same thing happened on White Oak. So I kept calling, so then they started coming out, and they did it again, and it's leaking again. So the wires, I believe, this is just my opinion, they're very old, and that's why they keep breaking. You know, so they still say they're gonna come back out. But when I talked to them about the holes in the street, they said that's your village, that's public works. So we need the village to take care of these holes because it is dangerous. On those little streets going around, it's very dangerous, and it needs to be fixed.
And we are on that. That's a part of our capital bill fund. Do you want to speak to that?
So just to answer a couple of questions, I'll go back down the line. As far as water main breaks go, I've had extensive conversations with Aqua, and I will tell you, part of what's causing the water main breaks is when the water lines are flushed out because of the age of the water lines. Some of the water lines cannot handle the pressure that's coming from flushing the lines out. So that's why you're seeing all these sporadic main breaks now, is because they're flushing the line. So typically, when they're flushing, there's a large number of main breaks. Nothing that we can do to control it. It's the age of the infrastructure, and they fix them as they come about. As far as potholes are concerned, today was the first day that we started doing patching the potholes. The hot box was out today. The first day of the season, we have a warm day. So we will be going around through our priority plan and patching roads based on severity. I will note White Oak and Pin Oak, and when we look at those roadways, we have to look exactly where those potholes are. If they're in the main thoroughfare of the roadway, we can take care of them. If they're towards the side or in the parking lot area, those don't fall under our responsibility. But if they're in the middle of the roadway coming in, we can deal with those, it's no problem. And I'm not saying there are potholes that are not in our jurisdiction, I'm just stating just how things are. As far as tree branches are concerned, we are aware of the windstorm that came through. Public Works has been working on picking up branches throughout the village. If there are any areas that you guys see that have more branches than others, please feel free to give us a call. We'll be more than happy to pick up those branches. We have not started branch pickup yet because we have not reached the first day of spring, coming shortly. So we are doing it as we're called out, and then as the spring comes, we'll do it based on our regular schedule. And then as far as solicitors and election time, all I can say is, and I say this every election season, that it is your right to call law enforcement if you feel like you're being pressured or somebody's in your area, on your property, and they're not leaving. It's trespassing, so you can give the law enforcement a call, and we'll take care of that. During election time, we do have extra patrols out of law enforcement because we do understand how election time gets in University Park. So we will have extra patrols out. And if we get called, we will deal with each situation as we deal with them. Most of the calls we get are at polling places. So us, along with the sheriff's office, will make sure we do the proper enforcement of the various laws and election laws that are out there. But if you see something, say something, call us, and we'll make sure we respond.
Thank you.
Man, what you said was, the potholes are in the middle of the street. Yes, they all are in the middle of the street. When ARPA came out and did what they did, they took care of that. If it was on the edge, they took care of that. They fixed it, they patched it back up and everything. So the potholes that I'm talking about is in the middle of the Pin Oak Lane and the middle of White Oak Lane. Our parking spaces don't have no holes in them. Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else? This is a 30-minute call. Ms. Trust, would you come up with whoever? Got 15 minutes left.
Got to find my voice first. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, my name is Mary, and I've been living here, as I keep saying all the time, for a long time. I'm a stakeholder here in this village, and many of you stand on my shoulders, as well as some of the others, like Ms. Jones, who has been here for ages. So we have a special love for University Park and where we live. What I want to do is I want to caution you about disposing of and getting rid of what you see as old material, things that are not important. The Block Club of University Park is about trying to put together a history, because we really don't have a history or historical society here. And many of these items that you throw away have good information that tells our history. So I want to caution you, because you don't know how to extract the history, maybe someone else does. But I want to caution you about throwing away our history. Now, having said that, I was over visiting with the farm, and I noticed that someone went upstairs and kind of threw records around and whatever in there.
You were in the facility?
Yes, I was in the facility.
No, did I say it?
Yeah.
I
Huh?
thought it was locked.
There's a key that opens the door.
Oh, no.
Okay. And I went in the facility because I'm a taxpayer with an employee here in the village and surveyed it. Good thing we did go in. Yes, the employee. someone, you know, day-to-day rests with him. Someone turned off the electricity, the power to the place over there, and did not turn off the water, and that's fine, that's good to turn off the electricity if you're not using it. But it's asinine not to winterize the place. There was ice all over the place. Now, we were in there in October, and everything was fine. There is 2 inches of ice in the bathrooms. Pipes burst, and I have the pictures. That's a brand new bathroom, brand new floor over there. Records torn right. And when you are a taxpayer, and yeah, someone has labeled me as a sword that never heals, but when you pay your taxes, you become a sword that never heals because you're interested in your village. Now, if you want to call me a sword that never heals, I'll be merciful. But I will always have an interest in my village and where I live. So I don't care what it is, but it's the most ironic, the most idiotic thing I've ever seen in my life. For somebody not to winterize that place. Our other thing is, this is a history, we have a history, just as the other young lady alluded to. And this happens not just in University Park, that's everywhere. From the federal elections on down to everybody. Everybody gets out. Okay, my 3 minutes are up. I noticed the other lady took 15. But at any rate, we have got to really watch what we say to people and what we do. I don't even run for a dog catcher, so I don't have no interest in running for office. So you don't have to worry about me there doing that. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But one more thing I want to say is we elect, I want everybody to come out and vote. We elect our officials. Every 2 to 4 years we have an election. And that's our evaluation. Our officials, our elected officials. But we need to evaluate the village manager. And the village manager, when I say we, I mean the people.
I'm sorry, you have one over your time. So what you can do, and I'll take your question and we'll address it at the next meeting, if that's okay, to give other people time, because it's only 30 minutes.
Is allowed. I understand that. That's why I was counting the other lady.
No, and she's on a timer as well.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Chief Pate, Board, residents, everyone that's here tonight. I'm going to piggyback off of some of what's already been said. There's a lot of misinformation out here, and one was about the fire hydrants and about the village not being safe because fire hydrants were boarded up or whatever the case was, but we did find out that that had a lot to do with Aqua. And I did talk to Melissa on more than one occasion. I didn't bring it up at the association meeting, Liz, because Mr. Ellis had already mentioned what he did. But I had talked to her about the situation on Pinot and the fire hydrants throughout the village, and I got a better understanding of that. The other thing that Ms. Deborah mentioned was the harassing. When you go down there to J&J's Fish, you're greeted by a gentleman sometimes who's out there trying to distribute literature. And he's trying to give my daughter literature. She let him know, point blank, I don't care for it. People need to stop trying to put it in your hands. They're also out at Speedway doing the same thing. And I will be calling the police every chance I get when I see people being harassed. It's one thing to pass out your campaign literature. It's another thing to try and force somebody or to call them out their name. Also, there was misinformation about the way we get things out. People trying to say things about Chief Payne and how many hats he carries. He wears them well. So I didn't appreciate that comment. Everyone here wears different hats. And he does do a good job when it comes to informing the public. I know he collaborates with Mayor Covington, and then they put out a safety message on next door. They do the best they can. A lot of times when a shooting happens, they don't have all the details and it's under investigation. They can't do it. I have a daughter in Olympia Fields, Park Forest, and Creek. They get zero information, okay? When you hear about it, it's on the news. So I'm tired of people slamming our village, slamming our officials, saying what they don't know. And as the mayor said, I like to see them have a magic wand and make all this stuff disappear, because it's a process, it takes time, and I congratulate this board. I can't say enough about the mayor, Dee, Liz, all of you all. Curtis, you're doing an awesome job with Aqua. I know that Theo is working hard on Aqua as well, and Milton Payton, what can we say? He's a wealth of information, a walking dictionary. Me and him didn't always see eye to eye, but we always respected each other. So I just want to thank them, and I want people to stop misinforming people and tell the truth. Tell facts and not attacks.
Our 30 minutes is up.
I have 724. I'm sorry. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I got this out. Because, and first off, good evening to everybody, to those viewing, those present. I'm excited about a program that's coming to University Park right here in 90 Town Center on March 26th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Feeding America, one of your largest service agencies, received a grant. They distributed that grant between Greater Food Bank of Chicago and Northern Illinois Food Bank. So right now, what Northern Illinois Food Bank is doing, we've been working on a senior hunger initiative program. We're going to be going, right now we're doing prototypes throughout various communities. And my excitement is that as a core team member, I get to bring the first pilot right here. It's a Senior Connections Expo that we're doing with seniors 60 years of age and older. I've spoken with Manager Pate, Jarrell, Keeley, and they welcomed the program, the initiative with open arms. They'll be providing us the assistance to make this a collaborative effort. And I just wanted to share that tonight. What else? I think I've got everything said on. Okay, so thank you. I did my 3 minutes.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You all have a good evening.
You as well. Oh, you did say something at the last, because this is the last, you're the last one to speak. We'll take yours and the next one written. But right now, I want to let you know, you asked something about Black History Month.
You said what time?
And you stated, I want to let you know, I know you run the library board, congratulations on that. But also let you know that, no, but I'm just saying on your running for it, because I was on it for 10 years. It's a great committee to be on. But they did have something for Black History Month. The library did. They did it for the whole time, so.
Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
No worries. With
I
that,
go a lot of different directions, but I try my
we
best.
have, I think she had, what, 2 minutes?
It was 6 minutes left when she came up.
Okay,
Yeah, I have 727.
4 minutes left.
Hello, everyone. I am Sharice Williams. I'm running for trustee of University
We
Park.
can't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't know. Forgive
It's
me.
okay.
Forgive me. I haven't been here in a while. I'm coming to tell you about the individuals about a program that I have started at Thornwood Town Center. Thornwood Mall, that's what it is, for the senior citizens of University Park. On Mondays at 11 a.m., I have pound class. I am a fitness instructor, and I'm offering a free pound class to all senior citizens inside of University Park. It's at 11 a.m. We started promptly at 11 a.m. So I would like to invite anyone here in the viewing audience or, in the audience here out to Thornwood Mall on every Monday. Started 2 or 3 Mondays ago. And it took me a while to get that actually started. So that's one. Can I announce the 17th event? No? Okay. Just want to be clear. I don't want to be no trouble. All right. And I guess that's all. Here, ask and tell. Here, ask and tell. So if you want to come out to the event, we're having communication before and or after with the seniors for what you hear. And, you know, a lot of seniors like to communicate and they like to tell what happened and to ask questions. So if anybody that wants to come to that event in order to talk to the seniors, they're more than welcome to come on out. Again, I'm hosting that, and I am Shirley Williams. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. And they need that. I think they have program manager still there. I think it was. I met her last week.
Yeah, I didn't meet a program manager. I just wanted to volunteer my time.
No, that's great. No, I'm just saying, that's good that you collaborate with them. And then they need to exercise. They need that. That's good for their hearts.
I tried to bring it through our program, but we didn't get it done.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your input. We appreciate good, bad, and ugly, and positive, or whatever. But we always need to hear from you, and we appreciate that, and we try to act upon it.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, I'll ask you to recognize at the end of the meeting. I have a brief report to give.
Because we're not going to report on it. How we going to do that on the
Madam Mayor, this
regular?
is a discussion agenda. I'm not asking for any action on an action item. I'm asking for a discussion point and a brief report.
It's not on the agenda, but it's just for discussion.
Thanks, Council. And thank you, Madam Mayor, for your questions.
Okay, all right. No worries. Okay, thank you all again, as I said. Business discussion items. 581, discussion and presentation on complete streets and green infrastructure for the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association. That was supposed to be Leslie from the South Suburban Mayor and Managers. I sit on that board, and that's the South Suburban Mayor and Managers Transportation Committee. And we did, so since she's here, she had a child, her child got sick, so she won't be here. So instead, I will tell you briefly. I won't go into it for the sake of time. And Leslie does it in a beautiful way. There's fundings, which I brought up before, and I will bring it up again. And so it can be very clear and understood. The board, the village rather, and the board, and our employees, there's a thing called capital deal fundings. In University Park, I had all the employees to come and give me their input because I don't do their job every day. It's best the people that do the job, they have the input. So Leslie met with us and we discovered that we didn't have that green park, so we have the infrastructure for the green, which will allow us to be eligible for more grants for our village. And at our point, the monies that we came to was $42,677, and that's going to be on such things, public works and vehicles, storm sewers, pools, barn, cable station, metro station, which we're getting remodeled 100% free because of, I brought it to their attention numerous of times. So now they see that they were in default. Since 1973, nothing has been done. So they agreed to give us $5 million on that transit. Reconstruction of Governor's Highway, our third, the Metro $15,000 for that, $125,000 for Metro rehabilitation for our fire station, $3 million. Police 5 cars they asked for fully loaded would be $50,000 apiece. So we're requesting that. All of these are going to our state reps and our governor. We got together, and for people that don't know, that these are the things that we do on a regular basis, and we do this, we're making sure that we get our cut. This comprised of every village in the Southland area. Everyone put in their bids, their wish, and we try to get as much as they can. You go for the high and they get the low. So this doesn't include our MFTs, motor fuel taxes. This is fundings that we're going to the government with to see if we can get it to improve our village. So maybe next time she will be here to elaborate even more on that. So to let you know, we're going to ask that we are interested in that, so we'll be eligible for that grant. Is this something that we want to put on our regular meeting?
No, because Madam Mayor, she's not here to present it, so I think we could. Oh, it is. Yes. Right.
Pass. The policy was passed. We're going to just let you know we're going to adopt it. Oh, so go ahead.
My question was, we are applying for a $5 million grant or I'm sorry, yeah, $5 million grant for that, $5 million to be distributed among the.
Everybody's getting more than 5 million. That's more, everyone's getting more than 5 million. You're asking for more than that. But I'll let you pay, Mr.
Oh, we're asking for, we haven't been granted.
No, no, this is what you asked, these are what you ask for every year. You're putting in your capital bill.
Oh, okay, so
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was my request.
So to add, to clarify, this is just a budgetary request that's being sent up to the governor for review. These are not grant funds that have been issued, but to speak on complete streets and green infrastructure, it was required for us to pass a policy, which we did at the last board meeting, or to apply for a grant for phase 1 engineering to redo the metro stations in University Park. Now, we are applying for that grant, and that grant will be submitted by the end of next week. We have filled all the requirements of the grant. Last thing that's required is actually submitting a certified copy of the complete street policy, which should be done tomorrow. And then the village will have to fill all its requirements to file for a grant for phase 1 engineering for the reconstruction of the entire metro station, both sides.
Yeah, just for the sake of expediency and being able to move ahead, it would be my recommendation that since Leslie wasn't able to be here, that we schedule her, put the thing on the agenda, and then have her do her presentation at the regular board meeting.
Great. Thank you. Everyone in agreement? Yes. Great. And also to add to that, this is what we go through on the committee as well, and this informs you who's eligible for it, what's the letting, who's on the take, who's been approved, and University Park is still out there for our $1.5 million for the Cicero project. So I will give this to Ms. Jenkins to put on our website so people can understand it and see that we're still on the University Park is still out there for the letting for our Cicero project, and I'm really happy about that. I've been on that for 3 years. Okay, the next item, 5A2, discussion an ordinance establishing a tax upon the use and privilege of remaining hotel rooms in the village of University Park, Willoughby Counties, Illinois, and providing penalties for the violation thereof. This is something that we are talking to a company. Can we speak this name? T-Thing. Would you repeat the name of the company?
So we have an organization, a developer that's looking into putting in a gas station, 2 hotels, a family-style restaurant, and a large, either a farm and fleet or a large retail establishment.
Right.
This was a part of the TIF 7 redevelopment plan. There's nothing solidified in writing yet. TIF 7 was just passed 2 board meetings ago. We're currently still in negotiations with the developers as far as a TIF development agreement in regards to that. So the board about a year ago, or a little bit more than that, proposed that a hotel tax be passed and placed on the books 3 years ago.
Right.
That a hotel tax be placed on our books in the event that the village receives a hotel. So we're just trying to be proactive here based on the development that may be coming up in the future.
And this developer has come to us and asked what are the things that we're looking for. And if you notice that now that we got the I-57, which took forever, but we finally got that done. So every expressway, you ever notice, it equates a hotel. Every exit that you see did you see an exit on, you see the hotels. So they've done the survey, and they were kind enough to even volunteer and pay the $70,000 for the survey for us. So we've been working on this for a while. As I say, everything's a process, and I'm happy that this process is happening. So we were trying, as he said, to be proactive. So once the 2 hotels come, we'll already have our ordinances and our policies in place for those hotel taxes. And we will be receiving money for that because South Suburban Area Manager Southland automatically does that and help you out once you have that. So I'm happy to see that. Is that something that we want to put on the agenda?
Mayor?
Quiet discussion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to say, if my memory is correct, and D. Jones is correct, he said, I thought we already passed a hotel tax in previous years. I remember us discussing this, that it was called recreation tax?
No, we never passed it. We've had two different attorneys that's worked on this, but we've never passed the hotel tax. We made it through the first and second reading. Right.
But it was never passed.
Well, we know why. We had issues, that's why we.
All right, the second thing is, I was wondering how the 7% rate compares with other communities.
I can, Trustee Payton, I did some brief research trying to look at some of the local communities that paid a hotel tax and what they were charging. Country Club Hills, 4%, Chicago Heights and Madison were both 5%, Joliet is 7%, Monique was 10%. Schiller Park, that's not local, it's up by the airport. They were 6% last year, they went up to 7%. From what I can see, Crete and South Holland did not have hotel tax, but those were some of the numbers I saw. That figure, the imposition of the tax, and what that tax would be up to the board. In speaking to Clerk Jones, the last time this was addressed, I believe, was 2016. And there was a form ordinance she sent to me to try to work with, and I said, what's the tax rate? They talk about a tax. And she said that was one of the issues that came up, is they never could determine what the tax rate was going to be. So that's one of the things. One other item I would note that would need to be added to the ordinance is that monies received from a hotel tax under the statute may be expended solely to promote tourism and conventions within the municipality or otherwise to attract non-resident overnight visitors to the municipality. So if the board does pass this tax, this tax would not just go into the general fund. It would have to be used solely for those purposes. It could be used solely to promote tourism and conventions within the municipality or otherwise to attract non-resident overnight visitors to the municipality.
Now, if you recognize, first thing in regards to the tax, and could we use it for advertising at the golf course, for example? That would attract outside visitors to the village. So would that be a permitted use?
If it's to promote tourism, well, then
the second thing is, I believe the definition of motel room and hotel room is a little too broad. I believe there should be an exclusion for the single-family houses that may use their residence for like an Airbnb, if there is such a use as in University Park. So I believe that exclusion should be included in the definition of hotel motel room under Section 8.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to check with, for the penalties, is this about the average, this would be the average penalties according to our ordinance? The reason why I asked is that I was around in 96 when Harvey did somewhat similar to the project of 3 hotels, and indeed, there are going to be enforcements, and I found myself dealing with a lot of those enforcements, but 250, I mean, I just, if the trustees feel that this is reasonable, or Manager Payton says this is about the standard, but one thing I hated was to have that repeat call of going back to the hotels. It was like the Comfort Inn, Super 8, and I forgot the other name that was down there. That they were moving pretty good, but the problem came in was that you have your transients that would come in. So if that's about the standard of what we would find, but I kind of want to send a message that if you come to University Park and you do a violate, it's just time for people to understand that you can't do wrong in University Park.
I think the violation should be higher than $5.
Pardon? Yeah, so Chief Payton is on the same page, because he was right down the street. when we need backup. So he will understand those 3 hotels that are a problem on Halsted right now.
So you're saying $500?
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
Any other? Is there understanding and agreement that we put this on the next board agenda?
Madam Mayor, I believe we add that additional along with the exclusions for Airbnb if such uses are made in the village, I think it'd be acceptable.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've got
some other issues here. Under section 897-04 books and records, it says that the village treasurer or any person certified by him or his deputy or representative may enter the premises of any Mint hotel or hotel for inspection and examination of books and records in order to effectuate the proper administration of the ordinance. I really think it should not be the treasurer that does that. It should be either our auditors or, our finance department. Our treasurer is part of the checks and balances, and he can review the records, but they shouldn't be the one that actually goes in and does that. It should be. And so each reference, there are other references for the treasurer, also in the transmittal of tax revenues and so forth. Those all need to be adjusted, in my opinion. Right, so that money's not sent to the treasurer, it's sent to the finance department of the village or whoever.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Trustee Payne said, I would just recommend that instead of treasurer, you put village manager and let the manager determine who should be in charge of the, administration of the hotel tax.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that is a bit much.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Okay. All right, so we will modify it to state that and recognize that the village manager will select personnel for that.
Section 897-09 penalties.
Okay.
The last couple sentences there. It says that all actions seeking the imposition of fines shall be filed as a quasi-criminal action subject to the provisions of the Code of Civil Procedure. Could somebody explain that to me? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you because I'm famous for quasi-arrest. What it would be, trustee, is that usually it would end up in our municipal court. Instead of him receiving a ticket, if I'm not mistaken, they receive a written form, and then they would come to our courtroom, and that fine comes to us and not the state or the county.
Right all day long. Any other? That lady.
Okay, can we just say that? I'm better with fewer than a lot of words, citations.
Okay.
Instead of 10 words, we can boil it down to one.
Okay, save the paper, save the trees. Okay, any others? That will, and I think Mr. James, who's thinking this last name right now in Southland, that does this advertisement, and we will be included in the books and in the advertisement. And I've talked to him several times, and I'm glad that finally the University Park will have a real vibrant part of that. He does that with Mr. Carter, so it's at every meeting. He's happy to hear about this as well. Okay, so that's an agreement with the modifications from Trustee Brown and Trustee Payton. And this will go on the next agenda. Everyone? Okay. All right, thank you. Great. 5A3, discussion and ordinance authorizing execution of a lease of commercial property and between the Village, University Park, Will, Cook Counties, Illinois, and John J. Tatum, DBA Soul Vegan Cafe for Town Center Units 22 and 26. Oh, we know where you're going with that, Trustee McClellan, the vegan here. Okay. Yes, sir.
I want to greet you all with words of peace and shalom to everyone. Everyone looks beautiful tonight. I represent Soul Vegan Cafe, and I work with a team of people who have been vegans for the last 50 years. And I've started becoming a vegan in the last 3 years of my life. And I saw the impacts of veganism and what it has done for me. And I'm so excited and glad for an opportunity to bring it back home to the place where I grew up at. I've been in University Park all my life. I grew up here. And to bring healthy food and healthy eating to this community, it's my divine pleasure to do that. We've been talking about this for quite some time, I think almost a year and a half or 2 years or so. We've been talking about the idea, but I believe there was another gentleman over in the restaurant that we seek to have now that wasn't using the restaurant. And we hope that we're able to come in and bring about life and healthy eating and nutrition. One thing about being a vegan, when you become a person who desires fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and things of that nature, a lot of the things happen when it tastes good when you go out to a restaurant, but a lot of times you don't know how to prepare that for yourselves. So not only are we just going to be a restaurant, but we also will be offering healthy vegan cooking classes as well. And we want to bring about a healthy juice bar so that we can begin to get those things in our bodies. Because when you eat right, your mind is right. And how many people know that your health is your wealth?
That's right.
So we're not bringing another fried chicken place, into the village. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to harp on those that love fried chicken. So some of y'all jump. Like, oh, but we do want to.
Fried chicken without flour?
No. Air fryer.
Yes, sir. But we do want to just add that element of health and nutrition and wellness. I want to bring that to the community so that people can get a chance to taste other things. And I was shocked to know and realize over 3 years ago that they have food that tastes like fried chicken. We have food that tastes the cheese, steak, all those kind of things that you won't be missing anything, I'm telling you. And we're just so gracious and happy to have an opportunity just to be here. We have 2 restaurants that we've already been up and running. One of them is in Phoenix, Illinois, 154th and Vincennes. And we have a new one that we just acquired and we're starting. It's on 171st and Hazelcrest. And everyone here, you're invited to a brunch. We're going to be having over there this Sunday from 10 o'clock to 7 p.m. on 171st and Dixie Highway, Suite B. And we'd love for you all to be our guests. Also tonight, we got a chance to, one of our chefs, we have a master chef that prepares all of our foods. And we work with several different master chefs, but this is the one that's on our team and works with us. He has prepared some desserts for you guys to try tonight. And I don't know what the desserts are. What was the dessert you had, Master Chef?
Blueberry pear cobbler and peanut butter cookie.
My. And it's all vegan. It's all vegan. Well, I don't know if we need to pass that out now. Maybe after we don't want y'all to fall asleep on it. But we want to give you a taste so you can get a chance to know what it is that you're bringing into the community. And like I said, I grew up here, and because I grew up here, I saw businesses come and I saw businesses go. But this is a business that I believe veganism is on the rise, and because that's on the rise, I want to make sure that this business is supported by the community and by the surrounding the community, because we're bringing about health and wealth. It's something that's going to benefit and be beneficial to everyone. So this is Prince Sar Amiel, and you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say, again, we thank you all for allowing us to come and share this with you today. But also, we're going to be bringing jobs, because we're hiring people in the city. We were at the meeting yesterday when the sister got up and said, the other day, when the sister got up and said, well, what y'all going to do with the residents? And so we're saying, we're going to bring some jobs, we're going to bring training, because some of the offshoots are going to be manufacturing. But also, we do farming. We have farms out in Pembroke. So we bring in farming, but we also are bringing fresh fruits, vegetables, organic, and all of that. So we bring a whole system when we come, including sharing all of this with the residents of the city.
I'm sorry, we're not supposed to be videotaped. We asked for everybody to put them in there. That's okay.
What?
Feel free to get that. Okay. I'm sorry, Prince.
Oh, okay, I'm good.
I just want to say thank you so very much, because we have I know about the one you have in the city, and I've shared it with so many people, Chamber 57 and a lot of other people, that when I go to meetings, I told them you're coming, I mean, they said, we'll be forever in University Park. Because I've been there, and the tofu, I thought I was eating the barbecue rib tip. And I said, I thought you guys were vegan. I'm telling you, it tastes like a barbecue rib tip. Tofu. Everything is so fantastic, and the homemade juice is great. And I'm just very, very honored. It's been a while, and I thank you for your patience. And I know it's been a challenge, because it's been a challenge for me to get you guys here to do this. But we got a good board right now that's accepting this, and it's, like I said, it's for the betterment of the village. And again, it's another process that we have to go through, and procedures. So I'm glad that everything was done. We're moving, we're rising. University Park is on the rise. And I really, really appreciate the things that you're going to do. Hopefully, we can give you some space to do some farm too here. And I already talked to Mayor Pope. I said, you're not going to be the only one to get a farm. So we look forward to that, okay? And we appreciate you for coming out, and we really appreciate the treats, because I've had that, and it's scrumptious. You guys are going to enjoy that. So, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it so that we can bring cameras in here and take this,
Well, we had asked a long time ago that we do not shut down our cameras in all. We can't, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, I'm sorry, but at one point they had said that, so, feel free. You can change it, everybody change it.
As long as it does not interrupt the normal.
Okay. Take your pictures, take your pictures. We got to take your pictures, no problem. Okay.
Madam Mayor, could I be recommended? Yeah. I had a issue with penalty provisions in paragraph 1 of the lease agreement. I believe that a $25 per day penalty for being late on rent is too high. I think it should be closer to the $10 range.
Sorry?
It should be closer to the $10 range rather than $25 a day. I think $25 would be a bit excessive.
Just reduce it from 250.
For what? It says a penalty of $25 for each day thereafter shall apply if the rent is.
The last lease had $250.
Right.
And went back and changed it to $25.
Right.
Well, that one.
Right. Exactly.
And I think 25 is excessive.
$25 for late fees.
You think it's reasonable, but I would disagree. I think a $10 per day penalty or $300 per month or thereabouts would be more in line.
Okay. We missed you for a while, and there was a lot of stuff that we discussed.
Well, Madam Mayor, it's so good for me to be back, and I enjoy talking with you, and I'm so thankful that you'll let me have a brief word at the end of the meeting.
Okay, so, with that said,
No, Madam Mayor, I don't know if Mr. Tatum wants to come up. One thing I would note is that the lease would not be between the village and Mr. Tatum as an individual.
Right.
He has a corporation that would have to be changed to Septepi.
Yes, we'll be doing business as a sole vegan
Doing
cafe.
businesses.
Yes.
Right. Vegan cafe.
I talked to the attorney.
Mr. Septepi, do you want to address the board in reference as to the furnishings and the type of build-out you think is going to be required?
I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry. Mr. Tatum, could you address the board in reference to the furnishings and the equipment and the build-out you feel is necessary for this project? And based upon that, what, if any, credits you are looking for so they can address these issues?
Right, as I said to you on the phone earlier, we want to build this thing out the right way. There's certain way and design that we're looking to implement, and we need to make sure that we can get the people in who are our designers to even look at the space. We haven't had the chance to do that. We only saw the space maybe twice, and it was just me and Prince saw it. So we have designers and different people that we want to bring in to see the space and what we're working with. But as I said before, I know there was a restaurant in there before, and based on whatever he received for the build out, we'll be willing to do that same deal, whatever he received. So we don't know all of the details of that contract. Like we talked about on the phone, you said you would go back to look at what was all implemented with him and what he received, because we're going to be doing the same thing. There's nothing in there that we can use, you know, for our restaurant. So we'll have to build and start over from scratch.
Mayor, can I share a little history, a little Wikipedia here?
Yes, sir. You're right ahead, sir.
We had pretty much a fiasco last time, and the last tenant spent over $300,000 for 400. Well, he documented 300,000. He still had the receipts. So I think that's, first of all, that's off the table, because a prior administration proceeding, they had kind of a handshake that he could then deduct the cost of that renovation from his rent. Well, he's only paying a couple, $2,500 a month, so that goes a long way. And so that became a big issue, that he wasn't paying rent, but he was, in fact, deducting the investment that he put into the operation. So I think, I know in there is a 3-month abatement of your lease fees, which is about $3,300. I think we would need to have something that's a little bit more concrete in terms of an estimate if we were going to look at either abating the rent or providing some kind of other incentive or build out ourselves for it. I mean, that's just where I am.
Well, we're definitely open. We're open to that. Absolutely.
All right.
So what I would say is, we're more than open for that. We can set up a time next week to go and look at that and then do the appropriate calculations.
Yes, sir.
And what I'll do is, I will report to the board prior to the next board meeting, and I would ask the mayor to have this on the next agenda. By that time, myself and Attorney Wise would have spoken, and I've provided this information to the board, and we'll be able to proceed. I think we've been waiting too long for this, so I want to kind of proceed and move forward with this for the next board meeting.
Okay, so that's an agreement and we'll be on the next agenda.
I'm excused.
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are. Thank you. They're in agreement? Okay. Thank you very much. 5A4, discussion and ordinance of the Village of University Park, Littleton County, Illinois, approving a new corporate seal. It's going on next thing, yes. Does anyone have a copy of that beautiful seal? Yeah, I mean for them. I thought they could see it. It's got a color.
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Okay, just hold yours up. It's beautiful. I've worked on it for a while. University Park does not have a seal, but this record, oh, there it is. That's better. Thank you very much. Would you hand it down? Everyone, other villages have a seal, what they represent and what they're about. And when we became University Park versus Parkway South, I felt that it's time for us to be identified in a sophisticated and well-represented area. We represent here education. Government State University is a college town now. It has industrial, farm. In 1967, that's when we became University Park. That's when I got, well, it was after that I got our zip code. I fought 6 years for it, but I got our zip code here so that we will be identified as Will County. I'm very, very happy. And at the time, President Obama was a senator, and he signed off on the last one. So I was really happy for that accomplishment. Shirley Bolton before me was there. She started it, and we continued it, and it dropped, and I picked it back up when I became trustee. And this will be our seal on a flag to represent University Park. I think it represents us well.
Before you start applauding, Mayor, not to tease you, the blue is fine, but for us football
You know what?
coaches,
But it's not actually orange, it's yellow.
oh, it is?
Yes, it is.
Okay, right, because these are the colors of Creek Bulldogs next door. So we don't want a bunch of Lions and Oni Mavericks and creep on me,
These coaches, man, where you going? No, it says University Park identified. We're not identified everywhere, but we are identified here.
If it's yellow, yeah, I'm all for it.
Yes, it's yellow.
It's gold, okay, I'm all for
Gold,
it.
yellow.
Ignore Coach Theo tonight.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, the orange. Yeah, the
Yes,
orange.
it's not an orange at all.
Yeah, let's go. Them doggone bulldogs.
Coach, tame yourself. Okay, so with that said, is that a choice that we'll put on our final agenda?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. 5A4, discussion ordinance in University Park, Willoughby County, Illinois, approving a new, we got that, I'm sorry. 5A5, get excited about that. Discussion ordinance, and I'm so happy you're here. University Park, Willoughby County, Illinois, reestablishing a responsible bidder guidance. And we have none other than our unions from here, Frank, and I'm sorry, I think that's your name, to come up. These are big hitters for our unions, and I am a union member 41 years, so I applaud them for what they're doing and bringing this to my attention when I had a meeting with them. Didn't know we didn't have it, but they're going to tell us the importance of this ordinance. They already written.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Steve Stoynoff. I'm with the Laborers District Council, Labor Management, and I'm here tonight in hopes that the Village of University Park will adopt a responsible bidder ordinance. Now, we all know when contractors come to town and they bid on a publicly funded project, that when it is awarded, it is given to the lowest responsible bidder. The problem is, many times responsible is a gray area. What one person might deem responsible might not be what another person deems responsible. What the responsible bidder ordinance does is it lists specific criteria which makes the contractor responsible. It's a limited criteria, and in order for a project to be considered to this contractor, they have to meet this criteria. Otherwise, their bid will be thrown out. Some of that criteria is common sense, making sure that all contractors have the necessary bonds, insurances, they comply with all prevailing wage requirements. But also, making sure that all bidders and their subs participate in an active apprenticeship program and safety program. Another requirement would be making sure that contractors who are bidding on a project can show proof of 3 similar projects that they have done in the past. Too many times we're having contractors bid on projects where they have no idea that they've done it before. We've had instances where concrete contractors are bidding on playground projects. Never done it before, the project's over budget and not done on time. So we hope that the board will consider this security for their taxpayers and for the public. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Frank?
Question.
I'm sorry.
Can I get your name?
Steve Stoynoff.
Spell your last name.
Stoynoff.
Thank you.
I think my name is Frank Giovanni. I'm with Laborers Local 5 out of Chicago Heights. We cover from, we go from Cermak to the Kankakee border, east to Indiana, west to Will Cook Road. So University Park is in our area, and we are just trying to reach out to the political bodies so that we try to help you represent your community, is what we're trying to do. So this way, nobody comes in and does something shady underneath on your time, thinking that they're going to do it right, and all of a sudden it ends up being a second, third, and all of a sudden now it's time and material where it's costing the village extra monies on top of the original project cost. So that's what we're trying to do. It's the lowest, not lowest bid, it's the lowest responsive bid. That's the thing. Okay, so that's where it comes into play.
Tell your name, Frank.
I'll give you my card.
And when we had the conversation, and then they came to visit my office, and I wanted them to be very explicit on this, because that had happened We had someone, and I told Frank about it, and I said, this is ridiculous. Someone came here, and I refused to sign it because it was a lower bid, but the person was very disappointed. I talked to the architect, and the architect stated, do not sign this. I said, I have problems with this. He said, yeah, you have a right to have a problem with it because it's not good. It's bad. It was not a responsible person, and they did build, and they came at the end, they came back lower, but yet when this work started, they said, oh, we have to charge you this, we have to charge you that, and that's what's not responsible. The paperwork was not completed, the paperwork wasn't refined, and I knew something was wrong with that, and they still went on with it, and I voted against it. That's why this has to be in place for protection of the village of University Park, as both of you said. And we want this because we're about to do some work right now. You see the sign there, and we have an architect drawing. It's already been done. We worked on it, and we wanted to see the best and the protection of our village.
And what you're getting is you're getting an apprentice program. You're getting apprentices that have gone through the trades that have become journeymen.
Yes.
And you're getting work staff that might even be from your own municipality, your own village.
I was going to elaborate on that because some of them do not, whereas the responsible bidders, when they come in with their company, they do enhance the people in the village. They have people that are in apprenticeship programs. They bring them up. They do a lot for that, and that's what we want. People that are coming here, making things happen, but yet they're reaching out to help other people become what they are supposed to be in the apprenticeship program, carpenters, melons, whatever. But that's the thing that they give back. So that's why it's so positive to have this in place and protection of us, most of all. And thank you for coming. Thank you so much. So with that said, are there any questions?
Yeah, I had some issues, Mayor. First of all, I favor, having some standards to go by, but on page 3, paragraph 8, it says submission of no less than 3 references on projects of similar nature performed in the past 5 years, including but not limited to the name, address, phone numbers, etc. contact person having knowledge of the project. My issue is that for something that's around $25,000, you're going to probably eliminate a lot of small growing contractors, and particularly I have in mind minority contractors who, you know how businesses grow, you work for somebody else and then you go out on your own. Not that you couldn't do the job, it's just, you just haven't at that point. All of the larger companies started off small and became bigger companies. And in my opinion, particularly for minority contractors, that's a critical area for them to develop. So now I know in paragraph B, it says, in no way shall the failure of the village staff or the corporate authorities consider any or all of the above referenced guidelines to verify, saying, invalidate, or award, inhibit the discretion of the corporate authority, which says that we can override this essentially. At least that's my reading of it. But I would prefer that paragraph 8 be modified or excluded from this, specifically for that. Because in my opinion, Mayor, we have sufficient protections particularly for the larger jobs. Shame on us if we don't put together the RFP or the RFQ properly and evaluate it so that it makes certain that all the proper standards are met. For most of our things, we're using Robinson Engineering. They're overseeing the construction, even for roads and so forth. As you mentioned, the architects, a lot of architects sometimes also oversee and look at the construction or repairs. We have a public works department also that's involved also with it. So I think for us to be caught unawares of something is going to be minimal, as opposed to, I think we need to make sure that our people have a chance to grow, and putting this, in my opinion, could have a very deleterious effect on that.
And you want to address that, Frank, because I did address that to them as well. And go ahead.
Trustee Payton, in response? I'm sorry, I missed out on the first one. I didn't have the responsible bidder in front of me, so could you repeat what that was for me, please?
That's what you were worried about. Paragraph 8 on page 3?
Yes, B.
No, eight.
8.
B is something that overrides, but, you know, I would much rather it not, then you're gonna have somebody say, well, you know, you overrid it, you didn't do this, or, you know.
I guess the scenario there with the past practice, with the individual being there, having that, if you want to say it, if the person works for a contractor, and then they leave that contractor, however, that contractor performed that kind of work. That individual never did. They never ran that kind of project. Now it leaves the municipality who's having that project performed with that individual at the helm in jeopardy.
Well,
In a manner of speaking.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, if somebody is working for a big contractor, they're basically running the job. I mean, $25,000 is not much. You know, I'm in the real estate industry, and somebody buys a house, they're going to put $50,000 into it to fix the house up. You know, so what you're saying, in effect, is if the village owned that house, that they couldn't do that, even though they may qualify to do it.
It's not so much that, it's regarding brand new construction, sir. It's,
It says $25,000. Doesn't have to be a new construction.
Madam Mayor, I'd recommend compromise language, and I would take Section 8 and move it to Section B, and instead of making it a requirement as it reads under Section A, say it is recommended that of no less than 3 references or 5 years experience, etc., be added. Yeah, I think that would be a compromise for both that would make the union and union representation happy, and along with Trustee Payton and those concerns in regards to payment. It could be something that we can use if minority contracting came into play, especially on the smaller jobs, and we could include language into that as well. So that would be my recommendation, that we move paragraph 8 and make it a recommendation under Section D.
Okay. Okay, and
No,
also.
just for the public, for clarification, it says on paragraph A, when we're talking about the type of job, it's not just new construction. It says, in determining which bidder is a responsible bidder for a competitive construction contract in excess of $25,000. Doesn't say that it has to be new construction. I mean, a lot of what we get done here is repair.
Sir, do you mind if I approach him? Not trying to be a smart aleck. I want to see what you're looking at. I don't have
I'm looking at page 2,
So,
paragraph A.
I don't have the documentation in front of me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's why I'm,
So the formatting is going to be different because they took their formatting and the village attorney put it in our formatting, so it may be different.
That's all. And I think, yeah, sure, here you go.
Paragraph 8 there, and this is the thing that I just referenced. Okay. That's what
Madam Mayor, the form sample that was provided by these gentlemen did not have a reference to $25,000, but that's in the state statute. That's where the $25,000 figure comes from. That was not in your form, but under state statute, that's where it
Is
references.
that a threshold? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, in the state statute,
You didn't
correct.
have that, we included the state statutes language in here. The verbiage should be correct, so that's all. You didn't say that. I know that's why you don't know what it's all up here. The verbiage has to be for the state statute with your ordinance that you suggested.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I did speak to you about minority bidding and the small, because we do have some small, you said it would not affect that.
no.
Okay.
And we could even, if you have contractors that are, we have no problem passing that literature on.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. That we do have smaller people out here, we do have PTL and that, and it would not affect them, it would not eliminate them, any minorities as well. We wanted to make sure, just trying to make sure we get good people, making sure that they have good bids and legitimate bids and above board. Because I know our architect did challenge one, and like I said, I was outvoted on that, and they shouldn't have gone through, but they did. I think it looks still fine.
Mayor, could I make a recommendation that
Yes, sir.
kind of piggybacks on Trustee Brown's suggestion? suggestion
Okay.
that, that the attorney take a look at, taking paragraph 8 and moving it under B, or
Okay.
redoing the language so that at least this person is satisfied that we won't eliminate somebody that's qualified and is trying to develop a business, small business.
The only reason why our responsible bidders ordinance specifies the 3 years or the projects with those dollar amounts, if you were to end up, say you were doing this whole town center now, from scratch, it's not just a $25,000 project, it's gonna be like $250,000, if not more. You want somebody who has that kind of project under their belt with those years of experience. And I'm not trying to hold anybody under our thumbs, say you're just gonna use the big contractors. That's not what we're about. We're trying to help we have little contractors that I helped that I had at Evergreen Park Plaza when they rebuilt that of 95th Street. I had little contractors, I had big contractors.
Well, let me, again, just as an example, if I'm starting my own business as a general contractor, if I'm contracted to do, let's say, the remodeling or fixing up this town center here, and it's $300,000. The work that I do, because my expertise might be in carpentry, maybe worth $50,000, and maybe it's $250,000 to redo the parking lot. Well, I'm gonna hire or subcontract somebody to do the parking lot. You know, so what I'm saying is that I shouldn't be excluded simply because I hadn't done a job like that before, and it's over $25,000. See what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but
Right.
if your council's saying it's the state statute, then
No, he's just
So the $25,000.
minimum.
Not the requirement of the 3 references on projects of a similar nature performed in the past 5 years. That's one of the guidelines you're seeking. In other places do have, some places have similar language as part of their guidelines. Just trying to make sure we're compliant.
so I actually agree with, if you want to, I mean, I'm not sure if the counter-argumentative saying that way, Trustee Brown, that you brought up with the lowering it to, raising it to 5 years.
No, it's the same language as the second B, because right here it reads like these are requirements. And then you say we can ignore the requirements, which is kind of counterproductive. I'm saying we can make it a recommendation under section B, because if you want to have a requirement, you should probably try and follow it. And not ignore it on a whim. That's why you make it a recommendation under section B, in my opinion. And I think that's a compromise. That way the language is still there and we're still looking at that, but these are the requirements and you do it that way.
And I apologize, I did not have that paper in front of me.
Yeah, and my recommendation to go along with it is for our attorney to look at that and redo the language if necessary to make certain that all of our needs are basically met.
Okay. The one thing though is that there has to be an apprenticeship program held by that contractor. They have to be part of an apprenticeship program. That's the thing with the responsible bidders ordinance. They have to be with one of the trades.
That's part of the criteria stating that to your responsibility for your taxpayers, what you want a contractor who believes in safety and an apprenticeship program for his employees.
Yeah, we didn't move section, we didn't move number 10, only paragraph 8.
Just paragraph 8.
And let me just say this about apprenticeship programs. There had to be organizations that were developed in order to get minorities in the apprenticeship program. So when you're saying that the person has to be in an apprenticeship program or conduct an apprenticeship program, almost systematically starts to exclude us, and I'm not for that.
I'm not trying to exclude anybody, sir.
Well, I understand. I know you seem like good guys, but
No.
I'm talking real world here. They've come out here to recruit our folks out here to get into apprenticeship programs. And I've talked to other folks, they couldn't get in apprenticeship programs, electrical, some carpentry programs, because of the discrimination that was involved.
I don't know, sir, if it's so much discrimination from our individuals, rather. Our training center, for our scope of work, what we have to do is we have to have a contractor sponsor that individual so they meet the criteria after the 2-year time frame. They've got to get 600 hours each 6 months. They need 240 hours of classroom classes. So they've got to hit all of those thresholds to get the next bump. So we start at 60% of our apprentices. After the 6-month time frame, as long as they attend the classes, attend the meetings, and then get those hours reported by the contractor, then they'll get a 10% increase. So then they'll go to 70%. As long as they're working for a contractor, that individual's not working for a contractor, he's not going to have any hours worked, he's not attending classes, he's not going to get the next increase.
So, when you say your apprenticeship program, you're talking carpentry?
I'm talking labor. Labor's all I'm able to speak for.
Okay, because there's electrical contract,
Exactly.
there's all kinds of.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm only able to speak for the electric. The laborers, I'm sorry. Laborers, all.
That's it, like. And to let you know that we did cut a ribbon this summer, a few months ago with IBEW, yay, University Park. It's one of the largest, it's called the Illinois Brotherhood of Electric Workers. And ours is larger actually than the one on Alsip. So I'm proud of that. We had over 300 people there. They were here from Washington, D.C. I think Jesse White was there as well. And it was great. And we're going to do a tour as soon as they're comfortable. We'll start walking. We're going to do a tour with our residents and have them to see this large place that we have in University Park.
I'd like to attend that with the next invitation.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So with the language change and modified by our attorney, is this agreeable for discussion to go to now our next agenda? Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, we could maybe discuss this a bit further and maybe add subcontracting language as part of the responsible bidder guidelines. I don't have an idea what that should be, but that could be a way to deal with the minority hiring.
Right, definitely minority hiring.
Or minority subcontracting.
Right.
To make this part of the responsible bidder guideline. That would be a suggestion that we could add. So you have a section C that talks about subcontracting in regards to responsive bidding in a larger project, say 250,000. That could be something that could be added.
Right, so our attorney hears that, so we will actually do those modifications.
And Mayor, you could, as long as you put that language in the contract prior to,
right,
you're able to utilize that. The numbers, percentages of residents in the bidding contracts.
What I want you to do is make sure you get our attorney your card.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get that done. Okay, right now, before we adjourn, thank you everyone. So is that an agreement, everyone?
I think, maybe maybe we should take a look at some subcontractor language for my.
Right, that's what needs to be talked about. You free as well as always. Attorney Brown, we appreciate your expertise. Okay, before we have the statement from our law court, you going to do your statement, I have
The statement about.
no, statement.
Yeah, I just did. First I just want to thank Representative DeLuca. He gave me a call about my dad's birthday. He had a very successful birthday, I would call it. But the main part I want to read is the letter that he wrote talking about our conversation. He relates to us that constituent service is a major part of my daily responsibility as your representative, and I want you to be satisfied with the services that we provide. My district office, or in this case, his district office, is in Chicago Heights. It's open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And his district office manager, or Ruby Flores, is ready to assist you with the highest quality of services that you expect. He also gives his website and asks that you all peruse it. That's www.anthonydeluca.org. And he gives his email address at revdeluca@sbcglobal.net. He gives his address as well as 495 West Joel Road, Suite 201. That's in Chicago Heights, Illinois, 60411. I want to thank Representative DeLuca again for giving my dad, or texting me on my personal cell phone number at 312-785-6717, and telling to wish my dad a happy birthday. I have to address something that was stated at the last board meeting in regards to public comments during our mayor's report. She talked about a referendum that has been circulated about the village in regards to our schools. I personally circulated petitions myself, and I have to say I wholeheartedly support that effort. It is a referendum that you can trust. It is not something that you have to distrust. The school board, when they released their latest plan, was they wanted to use a process, and it's called literally a backdoor referendum. That's where you pass a tax increase now that affects your taxes in the future. If you do not challenge it within the 7 years, then it becomes effective in law. That's called a backdoor referendum. That is the opposite of transparency, and that is something that we should all, no matter who you support for mayor, no matter who you're sitting at, and what kind of chair you're sitting in, you should not support that. You should support transparency and ask that you use the regular process in regards to making changes to our school code, using the school code to make changes affecting our district. So I highly recommend that everyone supports that and votes yes, because the school board should not do that. They should not say, hey, we're going to pass your tax now, and say, hey, look, it's going to just remain the same when it should have dropped. If you're going to do that, tell us that, because that's exactly what they were proposing, and that's exactly what that plan does. You know, if you're going to make a major change to our school system, perhaps you should put it to the voters of the people who it affects the most. Maybe, maybe people in University Park, even though I've gotten some strange comments about it, but I'm going to say that, maybe if you want to close Coretta Scott King School, maybe you ought to let the people at University Park decide whether or not Coretta Scott King should be closed. No matter what you feel about it, maybe you should let the people decide it. So you must trust that referendum. You should vote yes, because God gave you the capacity to choose. And I'm going to say choose wisely. Vote for that referendum, because it doesn't matter where you sit or who you support. It's about, quite literally, the kids and our future. And that is what that referendum is about. And it's about transparency and whether or not you're going to follow, the law, or you're going to try and create a backdoor and find a way to circumvent the law, because, that's a loophole, and that's what the school board did. Now, that's what they did. That is what they did. That is what they did. And there's no other way to describe it but as that, because that's legally what it is. So vote for that referendum. I understand that, this is political season, but this is something that should transcend all candidates who are running for office or not running for office. This is more important than that. It's about transparency. So I highly recommend that everyone support it, despite who you might be supporting or what you're running for, etc. And I see Dr. Hall sitting out there. I want to congratulate her, because she was a school board president and was typically the leader of things with the school board and etc. However, I'm going to say she took a back seat on that one, and she let Mo Brown lead the effort, because I think she might have realized that, hey, it's more important that we do this than what a person might be seeking. So support that referendum, because it's not about these seats, it's about the kids and transparency, quite literally, not doing things through what is literally defined as by statute and case law as a backdoor.
Thank you. That's why it's so important that we get reports. So people will tell, they mentioned that Trustee Brown Sunday actually, and said the same thing you said, vote yes. I'm sorry, Clerk.
My question is to Trustee Brown. You said this is a referendum. I understood it to be a public and advisory public question.
That would be correct. I stand corrected, Madam Clerk. It is an advisory referendum. However, I think the school board ought to take our advice and do things in a transparent way. That's just me.
Okay. I just wanted
to make it clear.
The public looking for a referendum on the ballot when it's a public question.
It's a referendum.
This one is a public question.
And advisory.
Okay, with that, thank you very much for both of you. We're trying to get our bus service here, and we've been talking about that. Jessica from Pace came out and she made the statement that she came before another board 7 years ago, and it's unfortunate that, you know, sometimes, like I said, you don't have 4 votes on some things just don't work out. But anyway, she's back. We're working on it now, our attorney and our village manager and the board, and I'm putting out this, and I know with this survey for Village University Park Community Vehicle Program Survey. And I asked that everyone take one and put it, we have a suggestion box by Village Hall. We'll have it online if you would like to do that, because I'm doing a pilot program right now. We have 13 shelters. The shelters were old forever, okay? And, excuse me, it was old. And now we have 3 blind people here in the village. And it was not conducive to them. They were not ADA compliant. So with that said, I asked that they repair them. They did repair them at no cost to the village. No cost, 100%. And now we're trying to get the pilot program with the 2 buses, and we've been receiving money from each one of the shelters. I know a lot of people don't know that as well. The shelters have been giving us $941 a piece. They're going to install 3 more shelters for us, which will give us additional revenue. So all that revenue has been already designated just for this project. So the people say with safety, we can get the kids out of the village this way and in the village, hopefully with the bus shelters. They say a lot of people have been telling me, we love to live here, but there's no way to get out. And after the trains stop at 2 o'clock, there is no transportation except this extremely high cab. So with the buses, that will help us to get the kids to summer jobs, to after school jobs, and get them back home safely with these buses. And it will increase our economic efficiencies here. And a lot of kids are really happy about it, because I've picked up several people walking from their train station at 11:30 at night, and that's not safe at all. So hopefully, giving your input, we'll base it on that, see where we go from there, and we'll do what we have to do. Okay, we'll see what your opinions are. So please go online, complete these, and I'll pass them out today. And with that said, I want, please, baby, please. So I will say again, I love you. You can't do anything about it. God bless each one with you, and I ask for an adjournment. So moved by Trustee. Trustee. All right, and second by Trustee McClellan. All in favor? Aye. God bless everyone. Thank you all for coming out again. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you. Okay.